Breaking news that we're following out of Southern California. Right now, police are in a chase following what appears to be a reckless driver going at speeds over 100 miles per hour. We're just a few minutes behind of where this all started. We're going to play it all out for you as this is happening right now in real time. Let's listen.
Innocent drivers who are just trying to get home after a long day of work and driving home in what is often rush hour traffic. And don't really suspect a car is going to be coming at over 100 miles an hour behind them.
In fact, we saw CHP and all authorities pull off the last pursuit that we covered at the 6 o'clock hour. When you were off last week, Alex, it just got too dangerous. So entirely let the suspect go because there was a child in the vehicle. And that vehicle, of course, authorities always suspect the worst of who's inside, how many. They always assume that whomever's inside is also armed. In terms of bringing this to an end, if they don't decide to back off, obviously these speeds are too excessive for a pit maneuver, the pursuit intervention technique that is requires speeds to be under a 35 mile per hour threshold. Spike strips could be an option as they strategize and go ahead of the suspect and they look down the road to put those spike strips on the freeway. But with this, given the other vehicles, it's always a precarious thing to do. This person might be exiting now as they've made their way to the far right lane and back over.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of hard to stop this pursuit. I mean, the obvious ends of it would be a crash, running out of gas. But besides that, given the speed that this person's going, if they keep this up, there's no kind of quick way to end this sort of pursuit. And now you do see that CHP cruiser. You see it at the bottom of your screen, really picking up speed. This is the closest we've seen CHP here. And now you really have a very fast pace, over 100 mile an hour cat and mouse game going in the middle of oncoming traffic.
And always a scary situation is the unsuspecting drivers who have no idea what's coming up behind them. We always like to remind you that if you ever find yourself in this situation, don't try to be the hero. Do not try to intervene. Pull over as far as you can to the right to avoid getting caught up in the pursuit. All right, we have Kevin Takumi. He often flies in SkyFOX and covers these pursuits for us on the line with us tonight. Kevin, what do you make of this? We've seen the speeds far exceed 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, you can see it. It's been crazy back and forth here throughout this pursuit. The speeds upwards above 85, 94 miles an hour here, going up to 100 at some point. You can see we're just getting through southbound on the 605 here, through the San Gabriel Valley. We just passed the 10 freeway, it looks like, so we're going to be coming up on the 60 freeway. Continuing down the 605, we're going to hit a lot of traffic as we approach that 605 and 5 interchange. So we'll have to see what the suspect is going to do here as we make our way farther south down the 605, or he may want to change to the 60 freeway coming up ahead. We'll kind of have to see where it is. But luckily for this, at this point, traffic relatively light right now. He's staying in that number 1 lane. He has gone back and forth a little bit. You see a little bit of traffic coming up ahead here. We're going to see if he's going to try to split the lanes here or continue. And we get that car in front is trying to get up and out of the way, it looks like. So the path continuing forward here, staying in a straight line here, but at these speeds, you can see a little bit of erratic driving, but so far not too much from left to right. So that is a good sign at this point.
This driver's really had remarkable control considering how fast this person is going, consistently over 100 miles an hour and zipping between the lanes. Thankfully, so far, we really haven't even come close to a collision. But, something like that could happen at any time when you're talking about going this fast. It's interesting, Kevin, to think about what strategy CHP uses when going this fast.
I think their intent, like you said, we saw on that little wider shot that there are units that are behind it, but whether they stay with this at these high speeds probably depends really on how the traffic situation plays out. If it continues to be light, they will stay on this. There is a helicopter above as well as SkyFOX here as we move southbound on the 605 freeway here. We're coming up on the 60 freeway. So that is all going to dictate on how close they follow this. You can see we're starting to get a little bit of traffic built up here as we're reaching the 605 or at the 60.
Yeah, that'll change the dynamics really quickly once this driver gets stuck in the LA traffic as we know it. So we'll see if that really comes to fruition as we're seeing the CHP officer gain a little bit on the suspect here.
Here we go. Multiple.
Yeah, you're seeing more than one
There's
now.
a couple of them there. You can see one of them is staying in the carpool lane where there is less traffic, but still speed's still up there around the 70, 75, 80 miles an hour. And now he's coming up on the right shoulder here, a little bit using that number 4 lane here. But like I said, the 60 freeway is coming up soon. So we'll have to see what kind of path he takes, whether he stays on the 605 south or if he decides to get on the 60 freeway and go east or west. But now he's come back into that carpool lane, less traffic there, and you saw those 2 CHP SUVs still following him here at 81 miles an hour.
Yeah, and you wonder if the presence of more of those CHP vehicles behind this person will draw them onto a side street potentially. There's a lot of dangers in both places because it's hard to imagine going 120 miles an hour on a side street, although we have seen that before. But then you
see more traffic starting to build up here, and you come down on the speeds here. As you can see, there's significantly more traffic in the main line there. The carpool lane's still staying open, but those speeds have dropped down into the 50s now.
And law enforcement has a lot more options and tools when you're on side streets versus the freeway. You have the option of doing the pit maneuver. It's a little bit easier to maneuver for them. But the danger, of course, is there's a lot more pedestrians out on the street and a lot more unpredictability, whereas the freeway is, you don't have that as much. So, it's neither one is a particularly good option for law enforcement with somebody who clearly is driving recklessly and clearly is not obeying the speed laws as they try to get away from law enforcement.
So now we're in the Whittier area, Kevin, 605 southbound here, as you had seen on your traffic tools at your disposal that you anticipated traffic to sort of back up here, and we are, in fact, seeing that. And when we got a closer shot, I had described it earlier as a 4-door sedan. It looks like it's just a coupe, 2 doors, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a BMW, as Alex pointed out. Tinted windows. Still in that carpool lane, and what I know, Kevin, you're dialed into the community out there in terms of the pursuit community. What are you hearing from law enforcement?
So far, they're willing to track this here. They're keeping it. They're still following it as long as traffic conditions allow them to. And so far, staying in that carpool lane is letting them follow behind it at a safe distance, but still keeping up with it. You can see that cruiser coming into the picture once again here as we're reaching the 60 split. Up ahead here, actually, we're going to be reaching this will be the 60 split coming up. So we'll have to see what happens here. But you see in that main line there is significantly more traffic that builds up. It's going to get even worse as we move down the 605 towards the 5 freeway. But you can see up to 75 miles an hour here, but they are still willing to continue this pursuit here. We haven't heard any more on if there's any more wants on the vehicle other than the reckless driving at this point, but they are still intent on continuing to follow this vehicle.
Yeah, and this is speculation, but man, this person's really desperate to flee from reckless driving. And you wonder if there is more to this story and if this person may have some brushes with the criminal justice system in the past, or maybe some warrants out or something like that, that would leave them wanting to be so desperate to get away, because reckless driving, you would think, is something you could just kind of pull over and deal with and not have this whole spectacle that we're now watching all over Southern California. So we're now in the Downey-Norwalk area as we continue to drive right now on the 605 south in the carpool lane as this BMW is really hauling over 90 miles an hour now, changing lanes.
Traffic's let up a little bit here, so he's beginning to increase the speed, kind of going back and forth between the carpool lane and the number 1 lane. So, but there is more traffic as we move farther ahead here. It is going to get a little bit dicey, a little bit closer as we get to the 5 freeway. Traffic really does get heavy approaching there. So we're going to have to see what he's going to do here and how he's going to continue here down the 605 freeway.
Well, we've seen these play out for hours at a time. Let's hope that that's not the case. And of course, you know, we bring this to you as a public safety announcement, really. So if you do know anybody in this area who happens to be trying to make their way home on this Tuesday evening, please let them know. You're going to want to avoid this reckless driver who just took the exit here. So this is Rosecrans in the Downey-Norwalk area. Wow. So now we're on the frontage road. CHP there still.
Oh, wow.
And now this is when it gets...
Look at these speeds. Okay, slowing down a bit.
Yeah.
And there's going to be 3 lanes blocked there, so we're going to have to see what he does if he just kind of holds up here. The traffic is getting a green light up ahead, so as he's going to push on here, if he's going to get stuck back there, or if he's going to try to push any other vehicles out. It looks like we're making an eastbound turn on Rosecrans, so we're going to go under. Nope, he just got off the freeway.
We're going to get right back
on.
Get back on the freeway. Southbound on the 605 freeway once again.
And of course, while we have our SkyFOX in the air, our chopper, CHP, Kevin, has their airship too. So this person, we keep referring to them as a he, but we've seen a lot of female pursuit drivers. We just don't know. The airship above has eyes on it too, tracking. And they're all in communication, all law enforcement communicating.
Right. The CHP airship is above this, but they're also kind of on the side there, talking to the sheriff's department, getting an idea. If this gets off the freeway, it could end up in their area, in their jurisdiction. Continuing farther south, it could end up in Long Beach. So they're in contact with them, and all those jurisdictions as well are watching this just like we are here as it moves south on the 605.
So not a lot of traffic in this particular area of the 605. We're in the Downey-Norwalk area. If you're just joining us here on Fox 11, and you're watching live breaking news coverage of a high-speed pursuit. This driver wanted for reckless driving. We don't know a lot more than that. Kevin, where are we headed to now?
Well, continuing south here, we're going to start hitting that traffic down the 605 freeway as we approach the 5. It looks like you're already past the 5.
Yeah.
Kevin, you may be on a little bit of a...
And now we're going 91 west. Now we're on the 91 west. So that also is going to take us a lot of traffic. Now going into the Lakewood Bellflower area, heading west on the 91 freeway, as far to the west as getting into the North Long Beach, as well as Carson, Compton, Gardena, if we keep going that far. But right now, still holding that 78, 80 miles an hour, a little bit more zigzag through traffic here as we're going westbound on the 91 freeway.
Right now, the driver has all lanes to himself. He did for just a second anyway. So in terms of traffic, that's good news for all the innocent drivers out there, but still, it's such a dangerous situation, and we cannot stress it enough. If you ever find yourself in this situation, do not try to intervene and just get out of the way if you can. So now
we're trying to figure out where to go. I mean, I don't know how many of you have been in this situation before. I certainly have been driving on the freeway, sometimes late at night, sometimes early in the morning, and all of a sudden, it just comes and goes so quickly. And you kind of don't know what's coming. Sometimes you hear the helicopters overhead. That gives you a bit of a clue. But when the driver's going this fast, I mean, like around 100 miles an hour, and sometimes there isn't that much law enforcement behind them because they're just so far ahead of them, you really don't have that much of a warning. And for people that, maybe on their phones or checking, their navigation app or, distracted, which so many people often are. And of course, we've done that before too. It just takes a split second of being distracted and all of a sudden it's there. And that's what makes these situations so scary and so dangerous. And it's kind of a reminder to all of us that you really do got to pay attention when you're on the road, even when you think you got an easy drive with kind of a wide open freeway.
So yeah, as we're coming up on Paramount here in the North Long Beach area, still speeds up there. You can see at 100 miles an hour plus. But you're going to be coming up on the 710, and once we get there, there's going to be a lot of traffic as you get through the Linwood area, and then it does open up a little bit after that, heading west, farther west on the 91 freeway. But still tracking speeds of over 100 miles an hour at times here. You can see the CHP is still back there in the carpool lane, following in with them. They've probably switched off jurisdictions as far as the CHP goes from their Baldwin Park office over to their South LA office. So now those units have gotten involved in this pursuit as it moves west into their area. Now a little bit of cutback here. We're coming up on Atlantic, and very soon we'll be hitting that 710 split.
All right, listening in here live to our coverage from our team at Fox 11. This pursuit happening right now in Southern California. California Highway Patrol members chasing down this reckless driver in this very dangerous pursuit. You can see this vehicle here going over 100 miles per hour for a majority of this chase. Here's a better view, though. You can see right now as California Highway Patrol members are following, trying to, at least at a safe distance behind, a lot of this being in the carpool lane. You also heard some of our fellow Fox 11 colleagues commenting on this as well, saying that it is fortunate to some extent that there isn't a ton of traffic right now. A lot of innocent drivers on the roadways. You never know what you're going to encounter. So very dangerous as always. Viewer discretion is advised as we bring you these feeds live, raw, and unfiltered. We do have to step away for a quick commercial break. We'll pick up right where we left off in just 2 minutes. Stick with us. Breaking news, a pursuit of a reckless driver happening right now in Southern California. It looks like this car just came to a stop. Let's bring it to you live here. And it appears that the driver is running. Let's listen in as our team at Fox 11 continues to cover this.
Into a car, and now we're just in the middle of the street, hands up.
That didn't take long.
So what was it about that spot? Why was that the moment that this person gave up? Wasn't exactly clear, but it appears that this pursuit is over, and thankfully, Marla, nobody was hurt.
Yeah, it was getting really dicey there at the end, but now law enforcement approaching the suspect. Obviously, he's doing as told, staying on the ground. They'll put his hands behind his back. They'll cuff him. They'll now, we don't have eyes on the vehicle, but they will now search the car to make sure there's no one else in there. They'll check the trunk, and then they'll call for a code 4, which means it's over. So we wait for the code 4 to make sure that that happens, but this is all coming to an end at East 15th Street and Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue in Long Beach. We picked this up, as mentioned, in the East San Gabriel Valley.
This is right by Long Beach Poly High School, if people are familiar with the area. And it appears to be a male driver, or maybe not. I don't know. Tough to tell. And that person, probably a male driver, is now being taken into custody. So got to commend their driving skills. Kind of crazy to see that person weave through everything, and we don't have any indication that anybody else was in that vehicle. It'd be interesting to know.
Looks like he's saying something to maybe an officer there.
Yeah, and so they check him, and that is the end of that. So Marla, on this night that we started with a story of major local corruption allegations and then went to the historic federal charges against the President of the United States, we then go to a high-speed pursuit. Just another night in Los Angeles news.
Well said, Alex. Well said.
Yeah.
Kevin Takumi, we want to thank you for contributing to this latest high-speed pursuit that we've covered here on the Fox 11 News at 6 o'clock. Kevin, thank you so much.
And now from the only other story people care about more than...
Okay, so you were listening in there and watching live just as this chase came to an end, the driver being handcuffed there. Unfortunately, we were right in commercial break as this came to an end. Let's play that portion out for you one more time so you can watch the full effect of how this ended.
They have a better sense of who this person is, but
crossing over the double
most of us don't.
Now speeds, up to 85, 86, 90 miles an hour here, going on the wrong side of the road.
And this is potentially deadly.
School residential area. It looks like they're going to
Okay, here we go. Are we going to get out? Why this spot?
One driver.
So one person's out.
They're going for a run. We don't see anybody else leaving. Is this their house? Why did they go to this particular place? Are they going to meet up with somebody else who may get them into a car? And now we're just in the middle of the street, hands up.
That didn't take long.
So what was it about that spot? Why was that the moment that this person gave up? Wasn't exactly clear, but it appears that this pursuit is over. And thankfully, Marla, nobody was hurt.
Yeah, it was getting really dicey there at the end. But now law enforcement approaching the suspect. Obviously, he's doing as told, staying on the ground. Put his hands behind his back. They'll cuff him. They'll now, we don't have eyes on the vehicle, but they will now search the car to make sure there's no one else in there. They'll check the trunk, and then they'll call for a code 4, which means it's over. So we wait for the code 4 to make sure that happens, but this is all coming to an end at East 15th Street and Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue in Long Beach. We picked this up, as mentioned, in the East San Gabriel Valley.
This is right by Long Beach Poly High School, if people are familiar with the area. And it appears to be a male driver, or maybe not. I don't know. Tough to tell. And that person, probably a male driver, is now being taken into custody. So got to commend their driving skills. Kind of crazy to see that person weave through everything, and we don't have any indication that anybody else was in that vehicle. It'd be interesting to know.
Looks like he's saying something to maybe an officer there.
Yeah. And so they check him, and that is the end of that. So, Marla, on this night that we started with a story of major local corruption allegations and then went to the historic federal charges against the President of the United States, we then go to a high-speed pursuit. Just another night in Los Angeles news.